The second unit from ABM module C, it is related to the HRD, that is a human resource development. I already told you that HRD is subsystem of HRM itself, that is a human resource management itself. And as you already know, when we are in a corporate structure, let us take the case here. We are having the firm XYZ. Now, firm XYZ is having some corporate objectives. It is having some corporate goals. It is having some corporate objectives which are to be fulfilled. It could be related to the production. It could be related to the sales. It could be related to the control. And further, so as to fulfill those goals, it must be ensured that the performance of the individual is very, very much necessary. And so as to make it sure that the individual is performing to the optimal level, individual must be having the knowledge as what is expected. The individual must have the required capabilities. It must be having the required skills, and further there must be the mechanism which can be required so as to measure the what is expected. Okay, so first of all, we do have goals which are to be achieved. And for that particular purpose, there must be individual who must be performing well. And for that particular purpose, the individual must be having the knowledge as expected, and further they must be having the skills, the capabilities, and there must be some mechanism so as to measure what is expected. Is that clear? Okay, now that is why HRD is required. That is why the development of the individual is required. Keeping that particular thing in mind, that the development of the individual will lead to the development of the organization itself. Let us further, I already told you HRD is subsystem of the HRM itself. So it is a system and process involving series of organized learning activities. So whensoever we want to develop an individual, we must be having some processes, we must be having some activities which should be conducted so as to impart skills to the employees, and further to produce the positive behavioral change. Okay, it aims at enabling employees not only to acquire the desired skills and also the desired level of the competence for their present and the future jobs. Let us take the case that the person A is in clerical cadre right now. He's in clerical cadre right now. So he must be having a thought, he must be having a process, he must be having a positive feeling that he want to be an officer, so that he must be working hard. And that particular environment shall be basically created by the HRD itself. So it aims at enabling employees not only to acquire the desired level of the competence for the present and future roles, but also the all around development. So all around development is very much required, because if you are basically conveyed in an organization that you will be learning the innovative things, you will be basically developing yourself, and further doing so you will be developing the organization, you will be definitely giving your 100%. Okay, so that is related to HRD itself. And further, what are the main features? Let us have a look at it. So it says a planned and systematic approach. So HRD is a system consisting of several independent and interrelated subsystems. These are basically, it is a planned and systematic approach in which we are having various and interrelated subsystems that is related to, it could be related to training, so as to impart the training to the individuals, so as to motivate them, so as to give them some appraisal, some compensation, and also the job enrichment. Just try to learn these particular points from an individual point of view. So when you are working in an organization, what do you actually expect from your job? What do you expect from your job? You basically expect a good compensation. You basically want a good ambience, a good environment, working environment, and you want a performance appraisal. You want the job enrichment itself, so that you must be satisfied by your job itself. Okay, and further, it is a continuous process. It's a continuous process because there must be no end to the individual's development. There is no end to the individual development, and the learning process must be continuous throughout the life. Even when you join the bank, when you basically retire from the bank itself, still you must be learning, so that the learning phase must never be ending. It must be a continuous process. And the third one, it says interdisciplinary approach. It involves collection of ideas from many sciences. So HRD is just not like that we are providing the development functions or imparting the training facilities to our candidates. It should not be just like that. It is just considering each and every dimension. It is considering each and every dimension of the employees. So it should be considering not only imparting the desired skills to the trainees over there, but also the overall development of the individual. Okay. Further, it is related to objectives. So this was related to main features of the HRD. Now let us have a look at the objectives of the same. So the objective of the HRD, it is related to a comprehensive framework for overall development of people in the organization. So actually what we do not only wish to impart the desired skills to the individuals, but we want the overall development of the people in the organization, and further to develop and maintain high level of motivation. So your employees must always be motivated. Okay, so first it is related to what? It is related to development, but what kind of development? It is related to the overall development. And the second one, it is related to what? It is related to the motivation level, high level of motivation. It is related to the motivation level. And third one, it is related to dynamic relationship between each employee and supervisor, so that they must be communicating that what is to be produced, so that actual message is just is basically given to the employee itself, so that he is basically performing his duty in a way so that the organization can achieve the corporate goals. Is that clear? So this is related to what? This is related to objectives. And further, the sense of team spirit, teamwork, inter-team collaborations in the organization, the overall health and self-renewing capabilities of the total organization. So one must be learning at its own pace. It should there must be an environment that if there is going to be a change, we should not be reluctant to that. So if we look behind in year 1995 to 2000, there were no computers present. No computers were used for banking purposes, but now each and every function is being operated and it is computerized. Okay, so if we would have been reluctant to that change, if we would have been reluctant to that particular change, in that particular case our growth must have been inhibited. Okay, so that must be taken care of that also. Okay, so that is also the objective of HRD. And further, systematic information about human resources. So what human power is required, what manpower is required in future, what is our current manpower requirement, placement, succession, and further compensation, all related things are also related to what? These are all the objectives of the HRD itself. So the main objective we can classify as, first of all, it is related to overall development, motivation in employees, dynamic relationship, team spirit, teamwork and collaboration, communication, and for the self-renewing capabilities, systematic information. Okay, then it is related to HRD subsystems. So as to achieve all those objectives which we have read above, we must be working in some manner, and further these are categorized into subcategories or subsystems, we can say, so as to achieve those objectives. What are those? First of all, it is related to job analysis. Second, it is related to training, which is basically having a job related training and personality development. And the third one, it is related to career path planning. Fourth, it is related to compensation management. And the fifth one, it is related to the performance appraisal over there. So what is the main funda that we must be going through this particular theory and must be remembering that? Let me just tell you that this particular theory is very, very much important. If we just look at the last paper of the ABM itself, because around we can say 25 to 30 marks questions were there from module C itself only. Okay, so you must be considering, you must be concentrating, and how to just memorize. Just keep this particular thing in mind as a book story. Okay, so you must be keeping this particular thing in mind that HRD is a subsystem of HRM. HRD is related to overall development of the individual, so as to achieve the individual objectives along with the organization objectives. And further, the HRD is further categorized into 5 parts. What are those 5 parts? Those we are going to read over here. First of all, it is related to job analysis. So the process of determining by observation, study, the tasks, the method, the equipment, the skills, the attributes required for successful performance of the job. Let us take the case that if we look at the particular job profile of a clerical person over here, in that particular case, how we will be specifying the job, how we will be analyzing the job. First of all, we will be observing it. So observation can be by different manners, and further we can get the data related to it by different manners, and after that we will be looking at the different tasks associated with it. Okay, the different tasks associated with what methods are required, what equipments are required, what skills are required over there, what attributes must be there in the employee itself so as to perform all the tasks in the job itself. That is related to what? That is related to the job analysis. Okay, so it comprises of 3 sections. What are those 3 sections? Let us have a look at it. So these are related to, first of all, job description, job specification, and the job evaluation. So we are categorizing into the job analysis into 3 parts. I'm just writing it over here so that you can retain it. So it is related to the job analysis. Okay, so it is divided into 3 categories over here. First of all, description, that is related to the job description. The second one, it is related to the specification. I'm writing it over here as specs or specification. And the third one, it is related to the evaluation. Okay, so first of all, it is related to the job description. So as to record each and every activity an individual is to perform. So whatsoever the activities will be performed by some individual on some specific cadre itself, that is related to what? That is related to the job description itself. And job specification, it is related to the minimum acceptable human qualities or skills required. So whatsoever the minimum skills are required, minimum qualifications are required so as to perform the job, that is related to what? That is related to the job description over there. So let us take an example. If we want to appoint a IT programmer, or we can say if we want to appoint a software engineer, in that case we must be requiring some person who basically have knowledge related to that particular field. That is related to job specification. And the third one, it is related to job evaluation. So job evaluation is basically there so as to compare the similarity between the jobs. So one person is working in Infosys, the other one is working in Wipro over there, and further how we will be basically relating that. We can say that software engineer earns that particular amount in that company, and he must be earning at least this much in this company itself. So if it is basically so as to compare the similarity between the jobs. Okay, so as to compare the similarity between the jobs. It may be within the organization, maybe between the different organizations, or maybe in between the industry too. Okay, so this is often basically related to what? Related to the wage settlement increment or performance bonuses, etc. Okay, so that is basically what? That is the job evaluation. So it is basically specified into these 3 categories over there, and further it is related to task. Now what is task? Basically we can say it is a basic element of the job. So under a job we need to perform multiple tasks. So if we want to do a job, multiple tasks are to be performed. We can say a job is what? A job is basically bits and bytes which are given to you. So it's a bits of work which is being given to you by the employer itself, and you need to perform that work. That is basically related to what? That is related to the task itself. Okay, and the fifth one, it is related to job. It's complex. So basically multiple tasks do form a job. So we can say complex system of tasks requiring an individual to achieve an overall product. That is said to be what? That is said to be a job. So if I'm performing some tasks, particularly related tasks over there, which are basically composition of multiple tasks, that is basically a job itself. Okay, and further related to position. So position, basically here we can say it is related to hierarchy. So you are also working under a hierarchy in the bank now. So we can say there is clerical level, officer level, for the managerial level, for the zonal level, RM, GM, okay, so on. Okay, so it is basically related to position. So puts an individual in hierarchical pattern. Under a hierarchical pattern. So your juniors will be reporting to you, and further you'll be having pressure from the superiors that you need to abide by their expectations. Okay, you need to conform their expectations. That is related to what? That is related to position. So these are the definitions actually which can be asked in the exam itself. And from the theoretical point of view, I just cleared you over here that job analysis comprises of the 3 sections. What are those 3 sections? Job description, job specification, job evaluation. Other than that, what definition we read? It was related to the task, it was related to job, position. Okay, further it is related to role. Okay, role is basically related to what? It emphasizes the pattern of mutual expectation. It emphasizes the pattern of mutual expectation. So if there is a clerical person, if there is an officer person, definitely the clerical, definitely the officer is expecting from the clerical that he will be doing the data entry, so there is expectation from each other. There is an expectation from each other that is basically related to the role itself, that we need to perform with each other so as to satisfy each other expectations. Okay, then it is related to work, involves a more complex pattern as it goes a step further to emphasize socio psychological expectations. Okay, so that is somewhat related to the workplace that involves a more complex pattern. Okay,